Good evening. My name is Dylan. I'm here doing the third week milestone video. I apologize if my voice is kind of hoarse or any coughing. Working on fighting some allergies right now, so I do apologize for that. In terms of progress on this week, I definitely made a lot of headway. I went back and addressed all of the issues and all of the points that were brought up in my critique. I went through and I took the eyes, got them scaled down, and scaled them to this neutral pose I have here. So it kind of everything matches up with the measurements across the face. So about one of the eyes fits in the middle, then one on each side. That helped a lot going back and doing that. I was able to go back and widen out the bridge of the nose and pull that out a little bit and kind of refine the shapes on the side here to match up with her cheekbones. The nose, I did notice, was a little too thin, so kind of getting the proportions of that down was tricky. I think I still have some work to do with the bottom, getting that shape just right. Excuse me. The lips were kind of challenging this week. I had some problems where the shape got shifted, and I was trying to get them back to the way I had them. The planes had gotten messed up on the bottom and top lip, so everything was a little off. And so I finally got those fixed again. Probably need to give this bottom lip a little more volume in terms of how it relates to the size of the top one. Once I finished all the proportion issues and finished pulling out the cheeks and correcting that jawline, making it a little bit softer and making it not as high, pulling that down on the sides here to where it's not way up here and super sharp, but where it kind of curves more and goes back down and lines up with her face more. I also, if you can kind of see here, it goes out in a little and then back out and just in a little and comes around, which fits a lot more with her face. As I moved into the high detail section, I went and did some research on skin alphas and things like that, and so I looked at what ZBrush had available and what Pixelogic had available, and I found one that was just a subtle skin alpha, something that's not super wrinkly, because Daisy Ridley has pretty fair skin, and she's pretty young, so it doesn't have a lot of wrinkles in it as of now. But I went through and added that, and it kind of adds a new life to the surface of the model. Sorry for the popping around here, it's not wanting to cooperate with me. But to get a little bit better focus, just kind of I went through and matched her eyebrows with the position, and that actually helped me to pull this area down here above the brow and kind of refine this shape here, which I still probably need to visit again. The underside, I was able to get that correct without making her look aged, and then once I was able to kind of dig those holes into the eyes for the pupils and the iris, just to kind of get an idea of what that would look like, that helped a lot too. This was a challenge. I went and did some studying on Ryan Kingsland and the anatomy, and really did some study on like the lacrimal bone that's right on the inside here, and then the frontal processes, and how those connect with the nose and the face and the cheekbones of the skull, and how the cheeks form around those with the muscles. So that was the next thing I addressed. I finally was able to get the shape of her jawline down, but still keep it soft on the sides, which is very tricky because she has really light skin in a lot of these, and there's some where you can see the contours more and some where you can kind of see them a little less. The ear's still a little messy. I'm still working on fixing that, but I feel like the proportions are a lot better to what they should be I used her eyes and that bridge of the nose as a line of measurement to where the top of the ear should be, and then I used her the eyes and even the size of the nose to proportion the length of the ear and the size of what the ear should be. I'm pretty sure that these problems I can fix in Z-remesher when I go to do the retopology. But I'm getting these little weird stretches in the geometry, and as I got closer, I noticed it was just like abnormal polygons that were showing up. So like five-sided polygons like that too at joints. Once I got in there close enough, I do feel like I've made quite a bit of progress compared to last week's. I'm finally kind of starting to see some likeness between the two, which is really exciting. This is the highest detail model, one of the highest that I've done so far, and it's really taught me a lot about the anatomy of the face and how I'm progressing and everything, and how even the subtlest changes in like the structure of the face up here and pulling out those cheekbones, and even pushing in the jawline slightly on the bottom where it contours around, can make the biggest difference with adding realism. I'm still working on some of the stuff right here for the details, because I know she kind of has raised cheeks and everything's kind of recessed right here. So there's that little bit of dimple that I haven't got yet. And then her neck, I'm still working on making sure I've got the proportions correct for that, which I might have to downsize her neck quite a bit for next week once I finish up everything. And then of course I'll do the retopology of everything, and I'll be getting my lighting setup done as well. But this is where I've kind of gotten so far in terms of my detail on the model. As you put in there, I know there were a lot of things to change, and it was a little discouraging at first, just because I know that, you know, it's a very arduous process when you're learning something like this and learning to sculpt the human anatomy and everything. But, you know, I took a step back and I, you know, sat down, wrote everything out that was wrong or that needed to be addressed, and then I started going back and just looking at those things one by one. So I started with the easiest thing, which was the cheekbones, fixing that, and then I started with the ears, sculpting out those shapes more, getting them proportioned out for how they should look. The next thing I addressed was the nose, structuring that, pulling it out, adding some volume and depth to this area right here to really make it stand out how it should. So I want to do a quick turnaround for you, just because so you can kind of see what's going on for the structure for face. To the back, and I'll get those out of the way. If I had time, I would go through and add just like a quick, like simple hair sculpt, kind of put a ponytail up there, kind of like in one of these pictures, just to kind of see how it would look. But I definitely want to focus on just getting this finished and making sure I get everything done to the best of my ability with the project and everything as I'm nearing the end. This is sorry about that. This is a view that really helped me a lot, was looking at my model from this view. In terms of, I had a couple pictures like this one down here was a 3/4 view that I found. And so, you know, as you're looking at her jawline, you see that there's a subtle change, but it kind of sits very low. and I feel like I've finally kind of captured that, and I might need to pull it forward a little bit, but I finally captured that low setting jawline. And then there's a slight curve right there that goes in, and you can kind of see that with the cursor. It kind of goes in a little right there and comes back out and down to her chin. But looking at it from this view, you can kind of catch the contour of the cheekbones and see how far they're pulled out and see what the proportions are like. I did, one of the things that helped a lot when I did the eyebrows, I was able to pull up right here above the brow where that bone would be and kind of pull it out and kind of get the gradient on that right. The one thing I love about ZBrush and using this basic gray matte material is it lets you see where the shadows hit. So then I can compare that to a similar light source photo. And then, you can kind of see, well, this place might be pushed back too much because it's really dark right there and you can't really see it. So it would kind of push me to, analyze it and look at it and see if it needed to be pulled out or toned back a little bit or have some clay added to the top. I even went in and pulled this out a little, indented this some more with the Damien standard brush, and then kind of just started moving around, adding slight details with the alpha. One thing I did with the lips is I went through and used a couple of the alphas to get this lined lip texture, to give those some character too. But this is where I've ended up at. I'm looking forward to finishing it up this week and getting everything done. This has been a great month. Definitely a month of a lot of learning, a lot of processes, and a lot of things to keep up with. But it's definitely been good. In terms of my Pinterest boards for the portfolio creation classes, I went through and found some more references for the Gary Oldman board, which you had suggested. I tried to find as many 3/4 view shots of him as I could. They're very hard to come by, especially at a consistent age. There are some of him from when he was younger, but I'm still searching to find some of those to add to it. I did find a couple more board pins for the anatomy of the bear. I'm still looking for that as well, just kind of trying to find some accurate and anatomical references instead of just somebody's who decided to do a sketch here and there, and I want to make sure that I'm getting the most credible reference possible. So I'm finishing up with that, and then I know that I've got some stuff to work on this week, getting ready for my next month's class, and I'll definitely be working on a light setup this week, getting that ready for an HD render. I have an idea of what I want to do. I'm going to be using kind of a softer yellowish orange light, just to kind of give it a cool, warm clay look. I'll set it up in front of a backdrop with a light to cast a little bit of shadow on it, but not much to where it will obscure any of the face. I appreciate all the feedback, and I appreciate the help this month, and I will see you next week. Thanks.